You're live. Awesome. Vale.
Es que te ha clasificado en un sitio para saber
Sí.
cómo pueden enfocar.
Bueno, pues
Y allá, porque allá no es haciendo, ¿no? Bueno, allá hay un enfocar, pero no sé si...
Mira, ho posarem aquí.
Bien. Ha llegado...
Sí.
Ya ha salido, ¿eh? Ya slide.
Hòstia, Pau.
No te preocupes, ¿eh? Por favor, es que no sé qué... Fabricamos para la nube.
Oh, shit.
Ya hablaremos. Vamos chulo, ¿verdad? Sí.
És que està tort. Sí, quan s'acabi la bateria la miro.
Sí, no me digo, proposo.
És que no.
Si vols, si li podem passar les idees...
Ai, sí. Com ho pots fer tu?
Sí.
L'Slack.
Sí, bueno, ya la llena aquí, pero...
Mira, ahí.
Sí, que les ofertes són amagades a les
Yes. Aquestes són la contesta.
Mira, ¿ves? DemoDay en directo.
Pues habrán que hacer al principio, porque al principio estoy haciendo aquí malabares.
Pero es en directo,
Sí.
para cuando el graben, pues se pueden meditar después. Si después quan acabi l'event,
Això, abans...
no s'està gravant tot. Sí, és un fet que no xerrem.
Yo les expliqué más o menos lo que se iba a hacer. He dicho, he vuelto 4 tonterías.
Mira si molesta per ahí.
Sí, ya.
I per això no vaig agradar molt.
No, puedes hablar, ¿eh?
I aquella cadira toca una mica.
Quina, aquesta?
Está un poquito en peligro por ahí. Es el canal.
No, pero esta debería estar enchufada. Si ves a Alex, es d'Àlex esto.
Albert, pots tirar aquesta cadira un pèl més cap a aquí? És pel directe. No, esa.
Ah, vale, que tapa.
La cámara es por...
És això el directe.
No, aquí.
Sí, però...
A YouTube.
I allà estàs en directe de Gina.
Estás hablando ahora de ti. Bueno, yo te una pregunta. Esta respuesta. Creo que por... Para una... Mira, una amiga. Ah, sí.
No, espera.
¿Vols o no? No, és igual, suda. Sí, no? Bueno, poden gravar ells, però si té però nosaltres sí.
Ok.
Vale. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. We have to apologize from the beginning because we lied to you. It's started at 5:30, but we know that Spanish time is a little bit harder to gather people and security issues and so on. So we should begin very shortly. And the other thing is there's a very quick GDPR issue that we were not going to be able to solve in a corporate way. So if you're not ready to be recorded during this session, you can leave now. That could be a very easy opt-out. And we'll begin. So basically, first of all, thank you all for coming. This is a project that started very quickly when 5 of us were passionate about artificial intelligence, and we realized that there was nothing in Barcelona to actually cover preps. And this has really taken us out of our spaces. Like, we didn't expect this thing to happen. We didn't expect 60 people to be here sitting today at the Alpha offices. And we hope to continue to fulfill the expectations of both the fellows and the people that you're in here for the next edition that we're going to launch. So, Alex, yo, ¿de portátil?
Imprimir. ¿Qué estás imprimiendo?
Eso es el directo.
Forza el sonido.
I'm going to do this as a shared thing for everybody.
Yeah. Quick technical issues. We are really going to the GDPR.
Ya, porque si tengo que conectar a la cámara, eso no tiene.
Maybe it should work.
La cámara es de la que nos puede grabar, hacemos completos. Sí, una
Working on it. Sí, me pillaron Antonio.
Sí, sí.
Compartir el link.
How exciting.
Yeah. We're in a presentation about AI and we cannot get a PowerPoint ready. This does not look good.
We're good. Yeah, that's because I'm not a computer, man. That's you.
Boom. Okay. Thank you, Alex, for fixing this. Woo. Okay. So we begin. And okay. So basically, there was a why behind starting this. The main reason in which we decided to begin this project is because we really see that artificial intelligence is going to take over, not only on the digital world, but also on day-to-day tasks. And there are three simple reasons on why it is going to happen. The first one is that artificial intelligence is first beginning to do tasks that humans are able to. So, worst case scenario, if a machine is not able to learn to it, it can watch humans and then it will be able to observe, copy, and do exactly the same or even better. The second one is what we devote our time to has a set of values and we pay for it. So therefore, if we're able to get a machine to do the same thing, then someone is going to make a lot of money. And the third one is because mostly as humans, we don't care who the source of the content is, at least not now. We care about the quality. So if AI is able to provide us with better quality, then we'll just switch to that. And I think this also portrays two very interesting topics, which is there's going to be a change in terms of jobs, and there's going to be a change in terms of who controls the data. So in terms of jobs, we were mostly concerned because universities are not responding to it. If you think about it, we're 60 people in this room. Those are less people that have been accepted into the artificial intelligence master in Barcelona. So you have 40 people to fulfill the demand of 1.5 million city plus the region and so on. So we really see this as the only way to create something that can respond to the demand from companies and at the same time make sure that it goes fast enough and the quality is good enough for the session. And yes, this is partially because traditional education is broken. The classrooms have not evolved on the last 50 years. They maybe have put a PowerPoint, they may have put some digital resources, but they are traditionally the same. There's no traceability on the day-to-day study reports and analysis of how the students are performing. And I think it's very interesting to innovate in this particular area. And just a few more insights on why we believe this is broken is, if you think about a traditional education system, it has a high margin, it's super high barrier to entry, it has high maintenance costs if you think about university, the fees, the professors, and everything else. And at the same time, it should provide high value, but there's no way to trace it and to understand if that's being provided or not. So then you go to online courses, and they can increase with no margin. If you think at Udacity, once they do the course for one person, they can deliver it to 10,000. But there is a problem there, in that either you have the capability to set up a platform, or you still need the experts to deliver those lessons. So the problem there is that there's still a concentration of knowledge, and in terms of students, if you have ever done a mock, there comes a point where you get stuck, maybe, and then that doubt doesn't get solved right away. There is someone that can deliver you the answer across the world, but it takes 2 days, and you have already lost track of the course, you already lost interest, or you have no availability. So we really see this as a way to test a more exponential way of learning, in which there are no professors, it's just scalable in any kind of city. It's very, there's minimum cost in terms of holding a venue and so on, but essentially it's gathering the best resources that are already available online and breaking them down into groups at a very, 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 very accessible cost. So ASR Days is not something that we began here in Barcelona. It actually began on Singapore. Met with the founder a couple of weeks ago, and it started last November. So from last November, they were able to send out a message for people that were interested about artificial intelligence, and people from 109 different cities decided to start chapters, piling up to more than 15,000 members. I think we cover every single continent except Antarctica, so if anyone's from Antarctica here wants to open up, just please let us know. And again, the interesting thing is that there's one purpose, which is making sure that there is accessible quality AI education for everyone. And just a quick side about this, it's not about us. Like, I think here in Barcelona we're incredibly privileged about these offices, about this education and so on. It's how are we going to make sure that if someone has the talent in Nigeria, he, with the minimum resources, is going to have the capability to learn about AI and potentially develop a solution for their specific area. I think that is the biggest concern here, because I don't think that we acknowledge enough that we are really the 1% of the 1% or whatever. And then in terms of the methodology, it's chapter-based. We break down the best lecturers from Stanford, deep learning, and so on. And then we learn together in a group. So by making this, you make sure that there's 40 people that are going through the same content as you at a very similar pace. And there is someone in that specific area that can help you out solve it. And we also think that this really, really helps in creating communities. So one of the biggest values that we try to push is we want to make sure that people are learning by doing, that there is an outcome out of the sessions, and that there is team building within it. So it was also not only about, hey, here's the stuff, learn, go home. It's also about, hey, here's the stuff, here's people that are interested in the same field as you, here's people that, companies that want to fund your research, go ahead and do something. Because that's how we believe that we can create things faster and better. These are some pictures from Singapore. Jakarta is probably our biggest chapter. It's located in the Gojek offices. It holds the classes for 600 people at the same time. And what we did here in Barcelona, I think, was focus more on the quality. We wanted to make sure that the fellows that accessed this project had the talents and desire to get into AI. And as I think you will see into the demo stage later, that they actually set their mind to do it. And this is just a few briefing. If you want to start a chapter in another city, just feel free. And it's very, very easy process. You need to apply. This is what we did, at least in Barcelona. We began the morning with a practical lesson on fast.ai. We had a little coffee break, and then we understood a little bit more of what AI was about with deep learning, and then we did some projects. this would have not been possible without the sponsorship of companies like Telefonica Alpha, which made sure that the course was not only accessible enough, but that we could provide for food, drinks, and so on to our fellows. And I'll talk about the range of sponsors later on. So I think, again, is something that we very easily try to go is go beyond the bus. Everyone talks about AI. Everyone's doing an AI application, like I would say blockchain is the other thing. Like startups that used to do very regular thing, now they put the blockchain layer or the AI layer onto it, and suddenly is super hype and super high tech. I think what we try to do here is say, we're not gonna do those master classes about AI. We're not gonna show you 15 videos on how AI is gonna change the world. We're actually gonna teach you, if you wanna implement the deep neural network, how to do it yourself, and from there, you're on your own. And long term, I think one very interesting goal would be to really become the brand of AI fellows here in Barcelona, and making sure that the scientists that come here, or the people that come with the capability to learn, we can certify that they have the skills, the necessary skills, to get to the level that companies desire. And I think this goes beyond just learning about AI and just getting onto technical stuff. I think it also comes with a set of implications and decisions about what you code, how is it going to affect the people. So when we think about artificial intelligence, maybe tomorrow I want to code something to develop, let's say for example, one good example would be Amazon. So every time I go to a cashier or a supermarket, in Spain at least, I feel a little bit sad. And the truth of why I feel sad is because I've been to the United States, I've been to China, and I know that those people are going to be gone in 5 years. I know it. And the problem is, it's going to be better for us because it's going to take us less time to go on the line. It's just human evolution if you think about it. But the problem with AI is that the change is going to happen really, really fast, and we're going to have a very huge set of people that are going to be displaced. So one value that we want to install within the courses is make sure that the decisions that you make are also ethical. So, for example, one thing that we're trying to develop is an ethics pledge where, for example, we say we're really going to focus on giving you top quality education of artificial intelligence. Make sure you don't use it for armed research and killing people. That could be one honest exchange. This was the program of the sessions. It's changed from when we first ideated it to what we actually did. And I think this is also one of the values that we have as an academy that is not tied to a specific university, which I think universities are evolving really, really slow. I wouldn't say they're teaching you the stuff of today. I'd say maybe they're teaching the stuff of yesterday. And if they want to change something, they have to meet with 5 different committees. They have to get the students to approve it. They have to make sure it doesn't impact the people's grades because there's a lot of money involved. For us, it was just about chatting with the team, chatting with the fellows, saying, hey guys, would you rather do something else? We did it. These are some projects of interesting projects about AI that we're not going to cover because the demos are going to be better. And this was our team in Barcelona, so please give a huge appreciation to them that are over there. You're going to see their faces. They're really the people that made this possible. If you think about it, we're a team of volunteers, people that have sacrificed most of the 15 Saturdays, every single Saturday, to be there at 9:30 a.m. There's a prize for Albert, who was there every single time, 9:30 a.m. sharp. So thank you for that, for opening the doors of MOB. And I think this is, again, why this is beneficial is because you get together a set of people that want to do great things, just something's going to happen. In terms of, if you compare it with other courses, I don't think we'll ever aim to tell you that this will provide you more value than if you actually do a 3 years master's on UPC. But in terms of what we charge for the session last semester and what a master charges, we think it's fairly more accessible. We're probably going to have to adjust that in terms of getting enough teachers and quality teaching and so on. But I think we're still going to keep it in a fair price below current costs of coding academies if you've ever checked one of those. In terms of demographics, here's like open source data from the course. In terms of demographics, we're 24% female, 76% male. I think we still need a lot of work to do in this area. I think probably Google is still 30% female, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't strive to do better. I just say that we're working with Twitter Funded to see if there's a way that we can provide scholarships and essentially make sure that we're rewarding the talent and not your specific background or sign up first and so on, because it's really about creating a diverse set of people that can work together. I would say, so they can work together. For example, we had Ushue, that was a medical fellow, bioinformatics fellow, that was able to get a team together for digital hackathon at Accenture. And if it was not because of her medical background, they would have never been able to understand what were the specific issues with the patients. So we really believe that the cool thing about AI is that if people from different areas want to get into it, they also provide the specific value from their area. And again, there was a high commitment. This was from when we did the beginning of the interview at the second or third class. But I would say at the last class, we probably had like a 50% turnover or even 60. And still 60% of people said that they would be willing to volunteer or facilitate for the courses. And then again, if you think that you don't know enough coding and that this is not right for you, I would say maybe try to do some Python first and jump for it, because some people did. And they actually succeeded. They're here and graduating today. They're going to tell you a demo of the projects they did. And probably when they began, they also didn't think that they would be capable of doing this. But it's just about hard work and punching in 15 Saturdays in a row, and you can do this. And also something very interesting for sponsor companies that are here or that are listening to contact us is that 60% of people that are at least sign up for our courses are really, really looking for a career change. And for us, it's really about making that connection where we get the people, the companies that want to hire people at this stage, we really want to take them from whichever level they are into that stage so they can really get the right opportunities on the spot and start focusing on things that matter. Because if you just want a title or you just want to say, I know about AI, this doesn't help us, this doesn't help you, and doesn't help the companies that have really big challenges today. I think this is a little bit of overview of the sessions. See if it plays. If it doesn't, it's still okay. It's a short video of 30 seconds of how the sessions look like. So you can see that we also try to have a lot of fun. It's not only about learning. If you think about it, it's people that were at least sacrificing part of their time. So we really try to make sure that it was fun and rewarding for everybody. And we'll try to continue that until the next year. These are, again, more pictures. You will see that the here link will not work for you because you cannot click the hyperlinks, but we fixed that on the following slide. This was the overview. Thank you, Mob, for a wonderful venue. This was the place where we put the food, whatever. Everyone ate pizza. And if you really want to check the photos and everything, that you can get a QR code. If you take your phones, I'll give you like 5 seconds and I'll take it out. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll give you 3. I like it. So that's pretty much it. If you want to get into AI, if somehow you're not here because you're one of the fellows that graduated this year and you want to continue this course on the next edition that we're going to launch on September, hopefully, I would say this is the link that you have to go through, which you can't see there very well, but it should be bit.ly/AI-fellow 2018, and there you have the application that we're going to launch for people that are interested in joining the course. And again, we're really, really going to focus on making it something based out of skill and pure desire to get into AI, and not because we're the first person that bought a ticket and so on. So we'll try to be more strict about that. And I think that's everything from my end. There is one last part, and I would say, please give a huge thank you to the sponsors that have helped us make this thing happen, and now they're going to go with their presentations. If you have any questions, I think it's better to answer them during the networking, or we'll try to get a gap through it, but I would say let's make sure that we're on time first, because it's something that very rarely happens in Spain, so maybe we fulfill that, and then we work on covering the other options. So the first one is Telefonica Alpha, and it's going to give us a briefing of why they have this amazing office and what are they doing with it. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Hey guys, I don't have a presentation, so there's going to be no slides. Thank you for coming. Hope you're enjoying the office. I initially bought a bunch more food, and Mercadona hasn't come through as they most of the time do. But there is beer, and some people say that beer is food, which is awesome. So we are Alpha. Has anybody heard of Alpha before AI Saturdays? Yes. Awesome. Like, thank you for that. Thanks. The only person that works at Alpha. Respect. Pascal. You'll be hearing from Pascal afterwards. He's our AI nerd and the best in the business. Okay, so Telefonica Alpha, or Alpha for short, is a moonshot company. So who's heard of what a moonshot is? Why am I doing it interactively? Okay, I hate when people do that. Moonshots, the only other moonshot company in the world is X, right? Google X. A moonshot is a crazy idea that uses disruptive technology that didn't exist before to try to solve a really big problem. So it's called a moonshot, right? Because when they decided to send people to the moon, like for Apollo 11, or all the Apollos really, but Apollo 11 was the first one that made it there. They said, okay, we want to go to the moon. This is absolutely effing crazy. We don't have technology. Like all of you know, that the technology that they used was like a shitty computer that now is like less powerful than not even a scientific calculator, right? So they made it. They said, we're going to do this. They created disruptive technology and they made it. So that's why moonshots are called moonshots, right? Some crazy tech to solve these giant big problems. So at Alpha, this is what we do. We try to see what are the biggest problems happening in the world. We use a lot of things like the Sustainable Development Goals, right? These 17 goals that have been created by the UN a couple years ago. And it's just like equal rights, pure water, food, education, all these things for everyone. And we're like 60, I think we're 60 people now, of the coolest engineers, scientists, doctors, psychologists, absolutely everything. And we kind of come together and we try to solve these giant problems. And the way we do it is just this moonshot thinking, right? But so you have an idea. One of these moonshots that we're trying to come up with, we originally had 100 ideas. 100 ideas that could have been something that somebody thought about one day, or like literally they were sleeping and they was like, fuck, this is a great idea. So we put it in there and we worked with it. So we went from 100 to 60 to 12 to 6. And just last week, we have 3. And we're working with some. We're actually at Sonar today, and we're working on the future of education, but from a really cool perspective, not like the boring shit, like a moonshot perspective, right? So that's really it. We wanted to partner with AI Saturdays not only because John is my friend, but also because we definitely believe in artificial intelligence. We know it's the future. We know it hasn't become boring and a keyword like blockchain is already. Like AI is actually something important. So we're investing in it, we work with it, and it's definitely going to be a moonshot or some technology that's going to help us get right in the next 100 years. So that's it really. We wanted to see all you, and we wanted to be able to help all you be able to learn something cool. Maybe next year I'll be doing AI Saturdays because I was definitely not going to go on Saturdays to study this year. Thank you for coming. Last thing, we have a sign-up page for something that's called Team Alpha, which is a small team that we only invite people that come to our events. So on there, it's not really a mailing list, but you'll get challenges that we set out with prizes, all our job offerings, if we're having like cool, quote-unquote, VIP conferences, all this kind of stuff. It's called Team Alpha. Ask me, or Pascal over there, or Ricardo, not here, okay? He's our talent manager, one of the talent people here. I will introduce you to him later. Sign up, ask me about it. Thank you for coming. That's all.
The next one is Mark. Alex, identificada o la cantas? No? Vale. Okay. So the next partner is Mark, and Barbara will be speaking. If you don't know about them, you'll hear more about this.
It looks like fancy not to have a presentation.
Yeah. I think none of the sponsors is.
So I decided to do it.
I actually got a...
Because I have an amazing piece of technology. not to be at Sonar. I'm Barbara, I'm the manager of MOB, and for me it's super strange to be in the sponsor part, and usually I'm on the other side. MOB is basically what we are is a, what we do is we build community to innovate together. We start in our founder, Yata, which happened to work here at Telefónica right now. Started a co-working space in 2011 because she was looking for a space where to gather together talent and different kinds of people to co-create stuff. And in the last 7 years, we made a lot of things. We use the methodology of learning by doing. For example, at the beginning, we have the idea of this creativity co-working space where we can do stuff, but it can also be an office. Now everybody knows what a co-working is, but 7 long years ago, nobody had a clue. So we start with an office and we put machines in there to create and work in there. And we soon discovered that it didn't work together. But we keep on moving, and so we start from normal machine to digital fabrication machine. And right now we have 2 co-working spaces with digital fabrication and a lot of different projects. Just to sum up, what we do right now is co-working, but we also have an academy. We try to be innovative. We try to build this community in order to innovate with people and to teach people something that they didn't know and they don't have another way to learn about it. Like John mentioned before, the educational system is not really fast. It's not really moving forward as fast as we want. So we try to push in this way. And we also offer services to other companies. The interesting thing about it is that in order to do it, we all use the talent that we have in our community. So for us, the co-working space is not just a space where people come and work. It's a bubble, a community where people come in and create together. So when we have a project coming from outside, we ask to our community and we start to do it together. That's why we are super happy to collaborate with AI Saturday. When this amazing team came to us and tell us the project, we were thrilled. It was an amazing experience. Thank you for being there. And we wish to continue to cooperate with you in the future. And I hope to see you soon at MOB. These are our contacts. We are in Bailén, next to Arco de Triunfo, and in Roma San Pau. So if you have a project and you need for a space where to do it, please contact us and we will try to make a reality.
The next one is Nurture.ai. They're in Singapore, so they couldn't come. But I'll give you a tiny briefing of what they do. Nurture.ai essentially is a platform that aims to solve one core problem on AI research, which is reproducibility. I think AI has a tendency to overfit. So there's a lot of discoveries that say I have a 99.3% accuracy world record, and when people try to reproduce it and do it themselves, they're not able to achieve the same results. And one way is because of data, the other way is because the algorithms figure those things on their own. But the idea, what they're trying to do is to get people and fellows to essentially replicate the discoveries that top researchers do, because they don't have enough time to validate other top researchers' discoveries, and get rewarded from that. So when people actually do the work or do the code and implement solutions, they give them access to interviews. If they want to go into the AI community, they prepare them, and the researchers, instead of committing their time to develop our solution, they do 1 hour interview with the person that's fixed and develop the code for the project they presented. So it's a very, very short interview, but you can find more stuff on the web. And the other one is Telera. And I do want to give a disclosure before I give the mic or the platform to Paco. And it's, first of all, thank you for coming all the way to Madrid. That was one part. And the other one is, there is, of course, a personal connection with Telera. And is that I always say it's the platform that allowed me to change my life. If you don't know about it, he'll tell you more, but I'll give you a brief disclosure. It is an accelerator of talent, but it's also created with people that are incredibly passionate about helping the youth in Spain. So I was actually at a conference 3 years ago. I had no idea what to do with my life. And the founder of Telera was there at that conference. He devoted his time to me. He allowed me to kind of like figure out on my own what I wanted to do with my life. And later on, I decided that one thing that I really, really wanted to do was to make sure that I was good enough to apply to Telera. So this was actually the spark that allowed me to change. He will tell you way more about it. So I'm not going to spoil his presentation. Sorry. And here's my thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I have no presentation, but as Jan said, I came from Madrid half an hour ago, and I'm really interested in this project because when at the beginning of the year, Jan told me that he was interested in developing this idea of artificial intelligence algorithms, I said, okay, but it's another thing that you are crazy about and you are going to change your mind in 10 days. He told me, no, I'm serious about this one. So I told him that yes, I'm going to help you, don't worry. And that's why we exist. Telera is an accelerator of talent, but accelerating talent or accelerating people at the end is just making possible small casualties, small things that you don't expect, or when they happen, they change your life. And that's our philosophy. We are a small non-for-profit association. We are really young, only 4 years. And we are developing a program where every year we identify 10 young talents in our country, in Spain. They have to go through a really excellent selection process. It takes from September to January to identify these 10 people. They have to write the size, they have to record the video, they have to pass through an interview. And then there's an expert panel of 10 people that identify the last thing that started the program with us. It's a 3-year program where we focus on 2 things. The one thing is soft skills development. In our country, it doesn't work. It doesn't happen in other countries, but in Spain, we are not very focused on soft skills. So when we are talking about researchers, scientists, engineers in general, they are not very good at talking about themselves. They are not very good at selling. They are not very good at socializing or networking. So we have developed during the last 4 years now this kind of workshops where we try to help them to identify how they feel, why they feel like that, know better themselves, and after that, when you get that, you are able to engage in more and better. And people can perceive you as you are, not as you think not as they think you are. And the second part of the program is about providing them experience or providing them resources to make things like artificial intelligence algorithms happen. In this case, was our apportation as partner was really small, just giving the big number and account for but he was not able to find the way to put this to go. And of course, he also asked me many questions, so I'm there for him, not only me, all the team of Telera. But we provide other experience. This summer we are going to go to London. I'm going to take 8 of participants of Telera, and we're going to work 3 days in a challenge regarding water and sanitation in a district of Ethiopia. We are not going to use artificial intelligence, but we are going to use technology, we are going to use economy, we are going to use science. We are going to bring all this together, and we are going to work in order to try to find a solution for these people. And that's what we do. That's why we are here. And thank you very much for listening.
The last person is Albert Morro. He's the creator of Global Shapers Barcelona. And Global Shapers Community is also an initiative that you should look up if you are interested in social impact. And I'm sure that you will be able to tell you more about that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Shaper community. It's a social network of more than 6,000 members across the world organizing hubs. In Barcelona, we are right now 20 members, and our objective is to promote, create projects that have a social impact in our community. So the first time that Jan approached us with AI Saturdays, we knew that we had to support it and collaborate, because part of the World Economic Forum is to really promote projects around the 14th Industrial Revolution. And this was one of the examples to really create a community that could bring potential really cool projects. So a bit about the origin of the Global Shapers. It all started with the Arab Spring. Around all the incidents and also the stuff that happened that was promoted by people under 30. It was a wake-up call for the leaders of the World Economic Forum to create a social community of people under 30 that could also have some saying in the table and help understand the vision of the people under 30. But right now it's almost half of the population. So some of the projects that we have been doing right now in the community, there is many examples from creating a water purification system for Ghana to creating a factory of cheese in Afghanistan. And here in Barcelona, we have been working, we started like 3 years ago. We started working on projects from creating a noise reduction system for reducing the impact of tourists, to right now with Saturdays and other cool projects that we are launching. So we are very excited about this, and we look forward to see all the cool projects that we have been working on. And if anyone is interested to apply to the Global Shapers or know about someone that is interested in joining, feel free to reach out. Thanks.
I think that's it. We are even early, so thank you everyone. We're now going to have Pascal give us a brief surprise for 15 minutes. You can dive longer if you have more time if you want. And then you can either choose to either do questions or just have a longer networking. So make your pick after this talk.
Yes, I'll fill this gap quickly. So Alex asked me to talk about what I typically always talk about, which is AI and machine learning, sort of the limitations and what it can actually do, and sort of explain it a little bit. But I guess you guys did this for the last 15 Saturdays, so I don't want to bore you with this. Instead, I want to talk about an experiment, which I've never done before. So it's a personal story, and I think stories, as we learn, are the most powerful motivator that we get. And I was in a situation just like you, not exactly like you, but a little bit like you, where I didn't have a formal degree. I didn't have sort of the typical. I'm just going to. I didn't have the typical, university, PhD, then you get a job, you do a degree, and then you have some impact when you're 40 or 50 years old or something like that. I wanted to sort of hack that system.
Right now? I think it's great now. Good? No.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of hack that system, and I always was interested in this idea of it's me when I was young, and please don't take pictures of this. None of the pictures actually, no, one of the pictures actually. This was me when I was super young, and my dad was really big into mathematics, and he got me interested in neuroscience and machine learning, how all this stuff works. So I basically took the shortcut and annoyed a lot of professors when I was super young to help me teach some of that stuff. Sort of a similar initiative like Jan enabled it for you guys, where I didn't have to go through like the normal route, and I didn't have to wait for 10 years until I could do some interesting stuff in my PhD, but I just sat there when I was 12 years old and got to learn about all these interesting things. But I think the most important things when you really want to like get something done in your life and have impact, which is why I think you guys spend 15 Saturdays in a cool room, but in a room, not outside, like having fun and stuff like that. I think there's a number, or science says and whatever, there's a number of key driving factors that you sort of have to really understand for yourself and reflect upon and then sort of act upon them, right? So one of them is inspiration, and that's what I want to give you a little bit today. I don't want to talk about AI and machine learning, like, because I've done that all the time, but I wanted to give you a little bit of inspiration that you don't need to have like the typical story or like 10 years of whatever to get something cool done. And I'm going to do this not with my own story, because that would be fucking boring and egocentric, but I'm going to pick two of my very best friends and superheroes who gave me a lot of the motivation and inspiration when I was younger and sort of pursuing this path, and especially in missions. And I think that's one of the most important things that also we are learning here at Alpha, is that you really need to have this sort of long-term goal in your mind and never let loose of that and just like keep on hunting that and keep on going for it, no matter how many people say no, this is never going to work, or you don't even have a PhD, you can't work in this field, or other people have tried this like 200 times, this doesn't work. Just, like sometimes when they have like scientific evidence that it doesn't work, you might want to try something different, but most of the times you just keep on going for it. Keep on going for it all the time. And so did these superheroes of mine. Two friends, again, please don't take pictures. I've asked them to use these pictures, they're fine with it, but it would be a little bit annoying if they're not all over social media. So one of them is Katharina, she's 29 today, and I met her when she was 23 in the Max Planck Institute in Frankfurt. She's a computational biologist, but she's a little bit special. Her family immigrated from Germany to the US, and then back to Germany, and then back to the US within 2 years because of visa issues. But she didn't have any like formal education for a whole year. She couldn't finish high school, and her parents both became very sick with a drastic disease called Parkinson's. So she made that her mission of solving Parkinson's, which a lot of people do, and there's billions and billions of dollars of funding in there. But she said, okay, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm just going to hack the system and do something that no one ever did before, and I'm going to take 2 PhDs, one in AI and machine learning and one in biology, in 5 years without a high school education from Harvard and Stanford, and then she went back and started to solve Parkinson's disease with a new company that's now one of the sort of unicorns in the space of computational drug discovery and computational medicine and all this kind of stuff. With 29, she founded, next one, okay. Sorry. She founded this company, Occam's Razor. Occam's Razor, does anyone of you know what it stands for? Yeah?
Well, it's had, he related to the law, and he started in Florence, I think. I know this, I remember the name in Spanish, la navaja de Occam, but I can't remember, it's like a tricky thing, but I can't remember exactly.
That's the long story. The short, Alex?
The easiest solution is the easiest answer is the solution, right?
It's basically, so,
Sorry,
yeah, exactly. Go for the simple solutions and simplest hypotheses first, and then only if you cut all of them out, that's why they call it Razor, only if you cut all of them out, then you can go for the complex hypotheses. And what science, at least in Parkinson's diseases and stuff like that, does is there's a lot of like very smart PhDs who spend 20 years of their life studying stuff about molecule and protein interactions and all this stuff. They overcomplicate things badly, like very badly. And I've been to a couple of like scientific conferences in that space, and you just sit there and you're like, like, why the fuck do they do all this crazy stuff? And so she basically went like, okay, like everyone's trying this hard one, I'm going to try the simple thing, I'm going to look at I'm just going to punch a lot of proteins together and see how they're interacting, and then gather all their data, build a label training data set, and apply deep learning to it, and boom, now they solved one of the corona arterials. I don't know, like I'm not a medical doctor, but it's like one of those veins at the heart, and they typically are like for thrombosis and stuff like that, they're one of the key targets, and they developed a protein that no one ever came up with before that sort of just only targets that and nothing else in your body, which is crazy. So that's then the second one is one of my best friends. He worked with me in the same team at Google, is 10. He's now 21. We met when we were both 16 at a scientific conference about neuroscience, and one of sort of our common mentors introduced us as his 2 kids. which obviously is wrong. He's from Iraq. They immigrated. He had also no high school education until the age of 16. So he spent 1 year learning mathematics, only mathematics. He did nothing else. And then he, then he said, okay, well, what's the biggest problem I could solve with statistics, which, as you now know, is basically machine learning. He said, okay, there's a really, really big problem with infectious diseases in Iraq and any other developing country. And those tests are very, very, very expensive. They're like, insurance will go up to $400 for those tests. They take up to 2 weeks of laboratory time and so on and so on. And he said, okay, deep learning might do better than this. And he started this company, Atleas. It's basically just instant point of care, $4 a test. Thing takes a picture, high resolution, does some fancy machine learning stuff that all of you might be able to do today, given the right data set and given the right motivation to go and talk to the right people that gave him the data set that he had to build this crazy, amazing stuff. Now they're funded with $25 million from the US government, DARPA, like you name them. He's at Stanford now, almost an assistant professor, and he's just like, nah, this is crazy. Yeah, that's the devices. That was a couple of years ago when they were first prototyped. Now they're super sexy, look like an Amazon Alexa basically, and they have like a high resolution camera in there, an Arduino. They still use Arduinos with this first prototype. He built the first prototype for $600 that he got from his dad, and he basically just has a high resolution camera, and then he has this chemically somehow infused glass pellet that he produces for $3 and sells for $4, so he makes a margin on it. And then you put a little bit of your blood in there, you put it in there, and it will only use machine learning to count the white blood cells. And white blood cells, as some of you might know, are an indicator for your immune system's response, and that basically says if there's a high risk of an infectious something going on in your body or no. And that's basically the pre-filter that they now use in refugee camps from UNHCR across all over the world, with 200,000 of these sets out there. And they basically now use that to filter from like 10,000 people who are coming in these refugee camps down to the 100 who are at the highest risk of actually having some problems, so they can now focus on them and provide them with better standard of care than they could have done otherwise. And that's basically a 21-year-old with no formal education who's only like got this crazy hard world of just like fighting through it and ignoring everyone who said, including myself. When we met the first time, I said he's fucking crazy and he should just go and study, do something, but he just kept on doing it, and now he's achieved this like really amazing stuff. And I think there's nothing special about Catherine or Tan. It's like all normal people, and I've met them, I spent a lot of time with them. They're awesome, but they're normal people, as we all are. So I think that's sort of yeah, and he was named by Obama as one of the most influential people under 22 years ago, which is also kind of cool. And by the way, this is like funny thing in this picture. They're all non-white American people who are named most influential under 20. And I don't know for a fact, but I bet most of them had some sort of like really weird background and didn't go to like normal high schools or had like Harvard, whatever education. So that's kind of like a really cool signal, I think, out there, that you don't need to wait for all this stuff, or you don't need to necessarily go like the normal way. You can just, as long as you have that willpower, as long as you have that mission, as long as you can sort of find your superheroes and just be around them all the time and sort of absorb some of this energy and then sort of define your mission and so forth. And I think that's sort of the overall idea is now that you have some skills that most people don't have, you're much better positioned than anyone else, I don't know, outside in any other building in the city, to just find your mission. And there's plenty, endless opportunities out there. Alex mentioned it before, the 17 development goals for the UN. Typically, a starting point, you might just look into your family. Maybe someone has a disease that's not solved yet. Maybe someone has a traffic problem. I don't know if you ever go to Africa. There's a very cool guy I met. I'm just going to keep talking until someone. There's a very cool guy I met 2 days ago, and he when he was 23 or something, with some of these like summer programs, he went to Africa to help build schools. And then he goes there and he sees all these old cars. I don't know if anyone has been in Africa, but they basically buy the cars when we want to put them in like the trash after 20 years of usage with really, really bad everything, they just buy them because they're cheap, but they're still expensive because some rich guy who owns the rights to sell them on the market, he will make a 60% margin on that sale of like a $10,000 car, which is worth $1,000 maximum. And they create a lot of pollution, and that's a huge health problem. And then if anyone of you ever goes to Nairobi, you literally can't run in the city because it's such a bad air. Like you get acne in your face 2 days after you're there just because of the bad air quality. And so he basically went in and he said, okay, like I'm going to basically disrupt the market and create a $5,000 car, only employing local people, only selling on a local market, no middleman involved, nothing. And now it's sold, I don't know, he said something like 6,000 cars already within 1 year, building up from like own funding and stuff like that. So that's all just to say that like nothing's impossible, and as long as you have this will and the motivation and like people around you and everything to go for it, then you can almost achieve everything basically. And that's sort of what I wanted to leave you with, instead of talking like crazy machine learning stuff. So yeah.
I'm going to make one shameless plug, which is if you are interested in any of these 17 goals, there's a hackathon Startup Weekend Social Impact sponsored by Alpha on 2 weeks from now, July 6th to the 8th. So just Google that, Startup Weekend, Social Impact Barcelona, and you'll be able to find the link and purchase the ticket. So it's one good way to get the action. Thank you so much. And we're going to have the networking now. Or if you want to have some questions, I don't care. Hands up for networking. Hands up for questions. No hands? Okay, we'll do whatever. Networking.
No, I'm one of the students. Yeah, so I'm presenting. Awesome. So I come from a non-tech